Hey everyone, this is Elisa and welcome to another wonderful episode of the Startup Celebrity Show. My name is Elisa and I think you know who I am. And I am the founder of the thriving Facebook group, The Spiritual Entrepreneurs, and the founder of the Spiritual School of Money. And while we are at the topic of money, and money is something that affects so many areas of our lives, from the house we live in, the car we drive, the clothes we wear, the holidays that we take, and the transport that we use. And, it just affects so many areas of life. And today I want to bring my friend up, Brett. He is somebody that is so amazing. I really love his energy. And he is somebody he's a self-taught financial coach. He went from minus, okay, I've got to take a deep breath, minus 170,000
Yep.
to minus 10,000, and with a $50,000 investment portfolio, all in just 2 years. And he just recovered from a work accident. And there's so much in this conversation. We were just talking prior to this, and there was so much in this conversation that I said, hang on, wait a minute. I think we need to
we should be recording.
Yeah, then I wouldn't have to repeat this again. So there you go. This is Brett.
Hey guys, how you doing? How you doing? Brett Slater, Debt Mastery and co-founder of Rethink TV. As you were saying, I literally did. I went from 170,000 in bad debt down to 10,000 in 2 years, and changed my good debt into bad debt. And ended up with a great investment portfolio. And really, I was one of those people, like most of you, way in debt, credit card, mortgage, bad business, tax bill, 45 grand tax bill. That was my biggest. But yeah, that was my biggest achievement. Car, holiday, I had it all. I had exactly what everyone else did. And the more money I made, the bigger bills I ended up with.
Yeah.
But, like you were saying, I had that work accident, and that changed my life, honestly.
Yeah. And Brett is from Australia. So regardless of wherever you are in the world, that is that. I think the emotional feelings towards that is quite the same. And you brought up a good point that, Brett, dead Brett. Yeah, the dead Brett.
Yeah, I like it. The dead Brett. Yeah. A new name, new website.
So the more money you made, the more you spend, which is contrary to what most people believe. Like now we all start with no money, and then you think that when you have more money, and then you'll make more money and you'll keep more money, which is not true, because the more money you make, you want to spend more. So you brought up a good point. So can I just probe a little further, and how did you get yourself into $170,000 in debt?
Well, years ago, I used to be a photographer, actually. And I started up a photography business. And basically, it kind of was about the mid-90s, 2000s. And everything went pear-shaped in advertising in Sydney. And it kind of just fell on its ass. I was trying to collect money off people, and I borrowed 50 grand for that. And then I ended up just putting my hands up and saying I lost. Plus, that was where I got the tax bill from as well. So that was literally straight up, nearly 100 grand tax bill plus the loan to start the business. And then I kind of fumbled around for a few years, did a few odd jobs in Sydney, and got fed up. And then when I went to actually Perth and became an underground miner, thinking, great, lots of money, I'm going to fix my problem. And it took me 9 months to get a job. And then I ended up making, like 60, 70, 80, nearly 100 grand in the first couple of years. And, just went on, I'll pay that bill later. I'll go on a holiday. I haven't done anything for years because I've been stressed. And then I bought a car because I needed a car. And then it just grew and grew. And then before I knew, I'm like, oh no. And then while I was on one of my holidays, because I used to go on a lot of holidays, I was actually with my mother in Africa.
Hang on, wait a minute. So you said that you actually lost your money. Well, you didn't lose your money. You just didn't know how to manage your money properly.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So regardless of how you incurred the debt, that's not the point right now. But the point is you actually made $100,000 after that, and you had money to actually pay back, and you didn't.
I went on holidays.
So here it is, right, people? I mean, you think that when you have the money, you would actually do something about this, but that's the unconscious default mode on how you spend money and how you feel towards money. So you're actually lying to yourself if you don't learn how to manage your money right now if you don't have the money. Because I always believe if God gives you $1 and you don't know how to manage your $1, I mean, why would God give you more? So here's a perfect example of Brett. Like, he actually made the money and he had more than enough money to pay his debt off, but yet he didn't, because that was how unconsciously he felt about money, and that's how he knew how to manage money. Responsibility, people.
Responsibility. I know, absolutely. And it's, like what I've learned over the last couple of years, really came down to if your parents aren't able to give you good financial advice as you're growing up, that's kind of a default situation you start with. And every book that I've read and wealthy person that I've known, they either make the change or they've been brought up on how to respect money.
Respect money. I love it. Respect money.
Yeah.
So it's like, even you had $100,000 like positive, you didn't respect money because you just spent on holidays and you were irresponsible with it. You didn't even think about that. And then how did that change for you? You were going to say something about that, right? How did that change for you?
Well, it did. I was on a holiday with my mother. We were like, she was 75. She'd never been to Africa. And we were like, okay, we better take her before she can't remember or gets too old and we had a great month with Zimbabwe, South Africa, Namibia. Got back to work. 1.5 weeks back at work. I was underground. I was doing explosives. So I'm an underground miner. We were literally half an hour to finish the end of the day, and the equipment that I was on failed. And we literally all got thrown out of like a cherry picker. I don't know if it's a Charmac, but it's a cherry picker we work at. So it's a platform that raises people inside of it, the basket, and literally it failed, and we all just got thrown out of the ground. We're only about 3 meters, but it was enough to dislocate my shoulder, fracture my ribs, and bust up my hip, and it literally put me out of work for 18 months full time. And like, honestly, kind of not what I was flying through the air, but when I was laying in the mud with a dislocated shoulder and like all messed up, I was thinking that it's time for a change. Like, I hate this job. It's good money, but it's not getting me where I want to go. And I knew that I would have time off, and I knew that I was still going to get some money coming in because I was on workers' comp. So literally, honestly, when I was in the mud, I was thinking, yeah, I've got to change. It's a sign. Get the hell out of this job.
Yeah, it is definitely
underground. It's really good money, but get on with it. Move on. And there's something going on now. You've got to recognize that moment.
Right. I mean, I think probably your soul knew that this is not meant for you, but you just went on and on and on, and God had to just show you something drastic, like, Brett, this is it.
Yeah, 7 years I was doing that for mining.
And I'm sure during those 7 years, you hated every day of your life.
Oh, yeah. Terrible job, honestly.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I mean, we are spiritual in the spiritual community, and it's not like things just happen overnight. It happened. Like, God must have showed you something, and He gave you an opportunity to change, and you're like, no, you know what? I'm too afraid to move. This is it. And I'm sure, Brett, for yourself, I believe God has showed you opportunities along the way. And like, oh no, the money's too good, and you always pick money over what you always pick money outside your comfort zone because you think that, oh my God, I can see the money right now. And then it took him 7 years, but it's like really a smack in the head where you have to dislocate your shoulder. So we don't want this gruesome episode for you. So know somehow there's a nudging feeling within yourself that there's something better out there, but here you are in your own mind that this is the money. There is something out there better for you. And so how did you get into that $50,000 healthy portfolio?
Well, that was okay.
Let me ask you a question first. What shifted first? Because you talked about the mindset. So what shifted for you first?
Well, the first shift I had to make was calling up the tax department and finding out how much money I actually owed them from my last business.
Let me stop you there for a while, Brett. I mean, finding information, it's something that's the first step, but yet people don't do. They think like, oh, it's something so minor. But this is the first step, the first action step where you can do for yourself. You find the truth. You find out the truth, and this truth will set you free. Although it's painful, like, what, $500,000? You at least have something to work with, right?
Absolutely. I think I left it for that 7 years while I was mining, so I kind of ignored it. Honestly, I thought it was about 12 grand that I owed the tax department. And then they went like that, and then they went, $45,000. And I went,
what?
oh, here we go. But I just gulped and went, actually, no, it's good. This is why I'm doing it. This is exactly, if I'd manned up before, it would have been less. But I've taken this long to do it. So just get on with it. But once I did that, that was the understanding that as soon as you take control of it, you learn the rules, which is what I teach. It's just a rule in every game. So learn the rules and then you can win, like Monopoly. You open the box, there's a set of rules. You read the rules, you learn how to play the rules, and you can win. Money is the same way. And once I learnt that and took control of it, I've never looked back. It's been a beautiful ride since then.
Beautiful. So what I'm hearing is basically you took control versus allowing money to control your destiny.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about money then, because I think money is something that we all know we need. Even prior to this conversation, I was doing a Facebook Live and I talked about money as well because I teach the spiritual school of money, right? It's about money. It's not about money. It's really about you and how you show up in the world, right? So I talked about, money does affect so many areas of our life. It decides the car we live. No, we don't live in a car. The car we drive, the house we live in, and so on and so forth. And yet we are afraid of it. And let's just be on the same page where if you want to live your life, then money is part of it, because we talk about freedom all the time. Like, we want financial freedom, we want this freedom, but have you actually pause and think about what freedom really means? And I read this book, and even Kalyan talked about it. The hierarchy of needs. Maslow talked about it, right? Like, the first tier is really your individuation process. You express yourself, the ability to express yourself creatively, and so we do need money in order for us to do that, because wherever you are right now, someone put in the money, someone had the vision, and together collectively, that's where you are, and I am where I am, and where you are. Somebody had the vision, put in the money, did the work, and it came to life, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about the truth about money, because you sent me a really cool video, and we're not going to just let people watch 45 minutes of it. So why don't you condense it, and what is money and how did money came about?
Okay, so what I've realised and what I've learned, like you're talking about books, the Rich Dad Poor Dad series is one of the best books that I've read, and that changed my life. Actually, that absolutely changed my life. And what it taught me was that it's a game. Money is a game. Just learn the rules. Most people think that it's this serious game that is controlling your life, but I can guarantee you, people with lots of money, really lots of money, they just think of it as a game and it's power. So as soon as you understand that is it, then I guess it releases you. Releases your mind to actually expand and learn about it properly. And what good debt and bad debt is, that is another beautiful thing. It's if you are not making money from any investment and you're paying a loan, literally it's your wage coming in and it's going to someone else. That's it. That's bad debt. Good debt is your wage comes in, you get paid, and the money goes to you. It has to make at least $1 to become positive. So if you're not making any money, it's just bad debt. And all of the wealthy people just would get rid of that investment. They don't even hold on to it. They wouldn't be negative gearing in Australia. They get rid of it. They would never use negative gearing. They would only use positive. And one thing I try and teach, especially with the housing system in Australia, like negative gearing is a big thing. Now they progressively push this as a government because they want you to get into debt, but literally only the silly people do it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Literally they do. Like, all the rich people don't do it. They wouldn't touch it with a bar or soap. Looking for positive cash flow. If you've got a business and money's not coming in, then they don't do it. It's simply that good. But back to money and currency, I guess, because we were talking about what money is. Now that was another great educational thing that I learned. You've got to split what money actually is and what currency is. But currency we consider as the Australian dollar, the yen, the US dollar, and money really is gold and silver and like hard metals. And the only difference really is that gold and silver has a lifelong time of support. It has one more thing, and it has literally the same gold that is here is the same gold that King Tut had 2,000 years ago. Okay? Now, if you look at any currency in history, 100% have failed. All currencies have gone back to zero, and they've changed the name and made it into something else. So once people understand that the paper stuff that you're getting is kind of like an IOU that somebody invented, who's keeping all the gold and silver for their own self. So that's why as soon as you understand that you start investing in proper things, you'll understand how to make money and how to lose money.
So what I'm hearing, Brett, is we shouldn't be obsessed with collecting the paper, but we need to be smart about investing in solid products like buy gold, buy a house. Like I was just looking at it. This thing showed up on my Facebook newsfeed. If you don't have money, don't buy a house, because a house, it will cause you to, lose money.
Lose money in a kind of a way. Actually, I know people that have got 30 or 40 houses in their portfolio, but don't own a house. They rent still because it's better for their tax. It's better for their tax. They can minimize their tax and rent and make more money than owning their own house. Or they've got 30 investment portfolio houses that are then divided up into other little portfolio connected to gold, and then that one's connected to stocks, and then that one's connected to something else. So they literally would positive gear it kind of, and then they would, the extra money they get, they go and buy stocks out of it. So they invested over there.
So what I'm hearing is basically we need to change our perception towards the green paper or the red paper or whatever that is, and not because money. When we think about money, we don't think about gold. We don't think about houses. We really just think about that piece of paper, and it just drives us nuts, right? It's like so much emotion attached to the piece of paper. And now the truth is that piece of paper is just a piece of paper. It's literally like an IOU.
It's an IOU.
So instead of being obsessed with collecting those paper, learn to use that to invest in something that, that will last a lifetime, like longevity. There's longevity in it.
Absolutely. Something that holds its wealth. And you're right, like a house definitely does. But I think statistically, it still says, right now, I don't know if anyone else is believing it, but America is the next one to collapse. Their currency, I think they owe at the moment $19 trillion. The world owes $19 trillion. America owes. The world owes $58 trillion.
But Brett, I read somewhere on the book where it says the debt alone in America is actually $45 trillion.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's crazy. That's a lot of money.
And that's it's a lot of money. And I saw a great post on Facebook, and it was the world owes $58 trillion. Who do we owe it to?
Who do we owe it to?
Who the hell's got all this? Well, and that's the other thing, that once you start learning about what money is and what currency is and how the banks make money.
Tell us a little bit more. I'm very intrigued by this. How does it? Because the video that you showed me, the bank, you could literally start a bank with $1,100 and something, and then make millions out of this, just $1,100 and something.
Absolutely. So the fractional lending.
In the video, it says it's supposed to be so. For those of you who don't know what it really means, is $1. It needs to back up by one piece of gold, right? So 10,000 would need to back up by 10,000. But that's supposed to be the truth. But the truth is, $1 is not backed up by one gold. It's probably $10 backed up by one gold. So the rest of the $9, I wouldn't say it's
allowed to lend.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah. Well, actually, that was one of those things that it blew my mind. Honestly, when I first, this is crazy stuff. So if you put $100 into the bank, into your bank account, they only have to keep $10, and then they can lend $90 out. So anyone who puts $100, so that's what fractional lending is. Literally, they only have to keep a fraction to then lend it out, and then they can lend that 90, that bank who borrows that money, they only have to have $10 and they can lend out $80. So, and each bank does the same kind of thing. So they literally, it's actually...
So the bank would crash if everybody goes to take the money at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why at the moment in Greece, you're only allowed to get €60 out of an ATM, any one person per day, because there's no cash there. There's nothing in the vaults. The vaults are empty.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, that's why they do it. So once they say, okay, tomorrow, for example, if we woke up and America collapsed financially, like Australia would go down, like Europe would go down, China would go down. They're like Japan. Actually, Japan have been in a massive recession for the last 30 years. They've been in negative interest rates for nearly 25, 30 years. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. If everyone right now went back and asked for their money, there's nothing there. Honestly, there's no gold. It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by silver. It's backed by zeros and ones and nothing. Like even behind the Reserve Bank.
Should people panic now?
No. Just learn the game. This is why I teach it. I know. Everyone's like,
should we stop putting money in the bank account now because
Well, honestly, I buy silver and gold. I do, and I send it to my mother's house.
So, honestly, should we stop putting money in the bank because the interest is like tiny anyway, right? So,
absolutely.
What should we do with the money then? Like, do what the Chinese do, like put in the pot and put it under the bed.
It's kind of like that, but you want to turn it into an asset that's going to develop over time, and that's why most people talk about silver and gold. Like.
So hang on, wait a minute. So here's where I'm confused, right? So $1, it's supposed to, let's say, accordingly, $1 to 1 gold, right? But if like now, like $10 equivalent to 1 gold. So if now I have $1,000, would I still be able to buy 1,000 piece of gold? Because the money is not. You know what I mean?
Well, no. If you're talking about banking, like your money has got nothing to do with gold and banks anymore. Nothing. Like
I need cash to buy that gold, right?
Yeah. But if in Australia we can go to buy gold from the Perth Mint, the New South Wales Mint. Like there's a whole bunch of other companies that just sell gold and silver and coins and all that kind of stuff. But if you're talking about like money in the bank, like it's not backed by gold anymore. There's no gold there. Like there's Fort Knox is not sitting behind there backing your gold anymore. Like America, I think it was 1972 where they took the American dollar off the gold standard. You could take $1 in and get some gold back for it, and they took that off the table, which meant that became another fiat currency, which is just based on debt. That's why they want you to buy things. That's why they want you to keep lending, because they want the system to keep going. If everyone right now paid off all of their loans, like the system would collapse.
But that's what we are actually sort of like teaching people to pay off their loans, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We all want to be debt free. We all want to get out of this vicious cycle. That's why you exist. That's why I exist, right? So then, would we contribute to? Would we contribute to the economy crash? Then?
Well, no. Remember, there's good debt and bad debt. So you want good debt. You want to be able to make sure that you're creating debt, but you're making money from it.
So I think it's not that. I think we're creating investment. That's the difference, right? Investment versus just the debt.
Absolutely. I've done a lot of research with Robert Kiyosaki, and he kind of, I think he's now worth, I don't know, $800-900 million. And he literally will walk into to buy a block of flats of say 60 flats, and unless he can go, okay, if I put a dryer in each one and I paint the rooms and I put in some new beds. And then that's going to increase my ROI at the end. If it's not going to increase it, he won't buy it. That's it, simply that. And all he does is walk in and go, okay, if I put a dryer in every one, I can charge a little bit more for rent, and that'll give me my $1 or $10 extra. And if he can't create that ROI and that extra $1 or extra $10 a week, he just won't buy that. He won't buy the block of flats. He'll move to the next block of flats and let somebody else, some stupid person, buy that block of flats. That's kind of what he's saying. So don't be the stupid person who wants to negative gear. You want to be positive gearing everything. And that's why, he's people using credit cards.
So basically what you're saying is just allow the money to work for you, which is the mindset of so many people is, I have to work for the money. And now it literally is the money is working for you. It's the reverse of the equation.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's just being smart, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, he's also fulfilling a need, right? Because somebody will have to rent the thing, and he's providing also like, okay, if I have a dryer there, if I could rent it more, then why not, right? Because the other person would have to save on the dryers and and people are willing to pay for anyway, convenience.
Absolutely, and that's like you just said. Not everyone wants to own their own house. Some people are happy renting. Some people don't want to get into a mortgage. Or some people can't. It's just that simple. The whole economic system is built that way. I'm not that much of an expert to understand if we all owned our own houses, what would happen. That kind of blows my mind, really. Hopefully we get to a system, honestly, and I love it. One day we just don't use money.
Anyway, we are almost getting there. We have the credit card, we have the debit card. We're almost getting there. It's cashless. We don't even know, we don't.
Well, no, real no money, like no money at all. So everyone just gets everything for free. Well, not free, but it's
going back to barter trading.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, honestly, there's people looking for those systems now. They're trying to come up with those systems. There's places actually in London right now, little communities that you can live that they don't use money. They literally get the land for free. They've built their house from recyclable materials, and they don't. On that block of land in their community, there is no money. Everyone just swaps. Nobody pays taxes because nobody makes a wage, and this is in the middle of London.
Wow.
So it's possible. It's possible to happen, but obviously everyone has to agree.
Something just bubbled in me that actually feels like I'm still attached to money, because you have to be detached with the concept of money to be able to live like that.
Absolutely. And not that I don't believe in it, but that's not what I teach. I prefer to teach realistic stuff to help people get to where they want to go in the system we've got now. And that's exactly why I changed my life. And once I understood, just learn the rules, just learn how to get out of debt, how to save some money at the same time, and then you can learn to invest. It's just like the balancing. I'm in debt. I want to pay my debt off, and I want to make money, and you just switch it over. And it took me years, didn't it? It didn't happen overnight.
So another question: so should people start investing right now, or should they start saving their cushion of money right now first?
That's a good question. I would say you've got to invest, but you've got to invest in positive things that have gone up over time. And that's why I talk about silver and gold. Stocks and bonds, it depends on your level of risk you're willing to take. This kind of stuff, I'm not an expert. I go to see financial advisors to get information about that as well. But honestly, if this crash happens soon, I've got silver and gold, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Right, that's true. Because the currency can crash, but at the end of the day, silver and gold it'd still be a universal currency.
Well, everyone, if you look at any crash, and go and do your research, if you look at any crash in history, gold, everyone who's got money starts putting their money in buying gold. Gold shot up. 2008, it went from $900 an ounce in Australia up to nearly $2,000 in 2 years, just because everyone panicking and started buying gold and silver and gold and silver and gold and silver. But if you bought back in 2006 when it was 900, that's when you're just selling it periodically as it goes up. So when it went up to 1,200, you'd sell a bit. When it goes up to, you sell a bit more. Still keep some. Don't get rid of it all, because eventually it'll come back down and then it'll go back up, go back down.
All a cycle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why they talk about why you need to invest in things that are going to last for a lot longer, as opposed to stocks and bonds, and which can crash. And then everyone, again, people who have got all the money are waiting for this crash.
Buy low, sell high, right?
Absolutely. They're waiting. They're like that going, come on, because they've got all the money that they're going to spend. They've already got. And actually, that was the other great thing I learned is if you are able to show the banks that you have a system in place that you can make money when it's good and bad, like when the next crash happens, the banks will come to you and say you can borrow money and do whatever you want with it, because we now, we need to make money, and we know you know what to do with it. People, we know they can't. We know that they don't know how to use money, but we know you know how to use money because you've shown us that you can make money. So here's $100 million and go and buy some houses that now everyone's been kicked out of because the crash has happened. Like that's what Mike Maloney in that video. That's what he talks about. Which side of the financial crash are you going to be on? Right. You're going to be on the positive side, knowing what to do when it falls apart. Or are you going to be one of the people who loses their house because you're just buying a speedboat and a jet ski and a house and having holidays and all the positive.
So how that translates to us ladies is, I love shopping as well. And every time I clear out my closet, I'm like thinking, shit, man, this is so much money. And then the clothes that I wear, I've worn it once or twice and I just dump it aside, even though the thing is because it was cheap, right? Because it was so cheap, but cheap ends up together, right? And so yesterday I was literally looking through something because, that thing kicks in, right? And I'm like, so what am I going to do with this dress? How many times can I wear it? Like, what's the ROI for this? So I'm treating it literally like a business. And then, of course, there's this impulse of buying, because Richard talked about this in the Spiritual School of Money. So go get the module. But he talked about impulse buying, and this impulse buying a little bit adds up. 10 cents add up to $1, and $1 adds up to $10, and then $10 add up to 100, and so it kind of like adds up. So I would go shopping and I'm like, $5, I'll get it. But at the end of the day, I end up giving it away, and I'm like so painful because I'm giving money away. So I have no respect for money as well. So you could make a lot of money, but if you don't respect money, money's not going to stay with you. So that translates to us ladies. Every time you want to buy like a pair of shoes or think about what's the ROI of it. Are you respecting money? Fine. If you need a pair of shoes, fine, go get it. Like, I'm not saying you totally don't get it, but you pay yourself first. See, so many people say you got to pay yourself first, and then have like this bracket of spending money, like 100, 500, and you bust it. That's it. There's no way. And then you don't go overspending on something else, because denying your buy need also, you make yourself feel guilty or whatever it is. So it's also So you talked about the rules of the game, Brett. Can you tell us what are the 3 rules of the games that the ladies or anyone who's watching is?
Okay. So there's so many rules, but
give us the top 3, like digestible.
You definitely got to pay yourself first, and you've got to divide. Let's have a look at You've got to divide your wage that comes in to a practical kind of system that you can. Let me just have a look. Where is it? I have a look here. To a system that kind of pays you. Now, it's not exactly how you're going to do it, and it depends on how much money you've got. But I kind of have a 3-bucket system, which I have. The first bucket literally is you want to save up to a third of your wage, and with that third, you literally want to keep that forever in a sense. And until that bucket tipples over into, like, say, if you're making 100 grand a year, you want to make that bucket worth 35,000, let's say. And once that bucket tipples over to 35,000, that little extra money that you're making, you then put it into the next bucket to learn to invest. So, first bucket, 1/3 of your wage, you only want to look for like 5% investment. Once you get over that 35,000, you start getting that excess money, you put into the next bucket, and you want to look for an investment between 5 to 10%. Okay. Now, this bucket, and obviously the third bucket is, like more and more, 10 to whatever. But if you are not setting up and breaking up these 3 buckets, if there was a collapse tomorrow, you'd probably lose them all. If you had all buckets and they were all making 10 to 20% interest, literally you're in a high risk program, and means that literally everything would crash and you would lose everything. So if there was a crash overnight, you might lose your bucket 1 and your bucket 2, but you've still got your third bucket to restart again if everything goes pear-shaped. So that is probably one of the best things that I ever learned, and I teach. Now, to get the buckets, I literally split it up into 55% of your wage is like a necessity. So that's paying all your bills, your food, your water, your car, your mortgage, all that kind of stuff. And then I try and do 20% into the long-term savings. Okay, so that's your first bucket. Your long-term saving bucket is your bucket that you want to keep. You never want to use. You just want to make sure that it's always there in case things really get bad. Okay, and then there's a thing called a play jar. So then you can put 10% into a play jar. Okay, which the play jar is kind of a jar that you once a month save up a little bit of money, and you literally spend it on yourself, and that's it. Once that 10% of your wage is gone, like, you do not spend any more money on yourself. That's your own little gift to yourself every month. So you can make sure that you go and buy shoes that you want, and you don't feel guilty about it. And you make sure that you're happy, and your partner gets to do the same thing. Let them; they can buy whatever they want. They can go and have beers with their mate, watch the football. You can't say anything. It's that kind of an idea. And then, literally, and I know, education is one of the most powerful things. And spending at least 10% on educating yourself on whatever you want to learn. For me, it was learning about money and becoming financially free. So, doing courses, buying programs, reading books. Actually, I love the idea. Reading a book is probably one of the biggest ROIs you can ever get. Like, a book can maybe cost you $20, $40, but some of the information in that book that you get from millionaires and billionaires is worthless. It's priceless. It's not worthless. It's priceless. So that kind of stuff, definitely you've got to spend at least 10% of your wage if you want to get out of this rut you're in. And that's the only way to do it. You need to learn. And that's why I always say, listen to what I say, but you have to do your own research. You have to find your own system, because I'm not you, and I'm not going to make the decisions on your money. And I can guarantee you, actually, that if you don't learn how to do it, the person you give your money to invest for you, it's not their money. If it all went pear-shaped tomorrow and you lose all of your investments, they're not going to lose sleep at night. You will, because it's your money. And then, at the bottom, 5% giveaway. So, it's quite an important thing to make sure that you are giving money away to people who need it, especially if you're making good money. And I know that we both live in a part of the world that we make lots of money, and we need to keep giving back to people. And it's very important that you need to make sure that you give back. And the more you give, the more you get. It's absolutely nothing more, nothing less. But start to pay yourself first, and break it up. Don't be silly with your money. Give yourself, certain amounts of levels of flexibility.
Yeah.
But you've got to make sure that you are in control of your money. Absolutely.
Yeah. Alrighty, that has been so wonderful. I mean, it's like, in the spiritual community, we don't really talk about stuff like this. We talk about manifestation, we talk about and then writing down your goals. And that's what I love about this spiritual school of money. It's because I want to bring the practicality, not being realistic, practicality of you being a human being. These are the rules. Because I always say this, we're not some 12th dimensional being. We are a human being. And just like the universe has got specific rules that make it work, like the law of universe, law of gravity, and law of polarity, and the law of compensation. Same thing, there is rules in the games, and there are strategies, right? So whether you like it or not, Tony Robbins always say this, you need to have a strategy. Like, what does the sun rises from the east, right? Does the sun rise?
Yeah.
So you won't be able to chase the sun hoping that it will, the sunset. You can go chase the east for the sunset all you want, but the sun will still rise from the east, right? I mean, I'm sure that I had to confirm the sun rise from the east. But that's just good at everything, right?
Doesn't matter which way it goes, just don't run away.
Right? If it goes up and you're chasing it to go down, it's never gonna. So you need to have a smart strategy. And what Brett said, and people say this all the time, if it doesn't work, then give up. It's not about giving up on your dreams, but just giving up on the strategy that doesn't work,
Absolutely.
So it's super amazing. That's why I love bringing work like this to the light, and just showing you that you do need to know your money, know how it works. So it's been super amazing. Thank you, Brett, for your time. And we are going to do a wonderful module with the Spiritual School of Money. So if you are interested to know more about how you can manifest your money with ease and grace, not just airy-fairy stuff, go ahead and check out the Spiritual School of Money. It's literally www.thespiritualschoolofmoney.com, and we would love to teach you more fantastic stuff about money.
Absolutely.
Right, so thank you, Brett, for your time, and thank you for joining us. If you had received a lot of information, please leave us a comment below, and we would love to hear from you. How do you manage your debt? How do you feel about debt? And how do you feel about debt right now? So I hope this will give you more confidence and clarity to manage your debt and not go into this, oh my God, what am I supposed to do right now? So take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.